Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be running through a Rogue Company tier list. So with the recent update, Dahlia being introduced to the game, and the open beta coming into play, I wanted to do a refresher on all the rogues. I wanted to do a full rogue tier list from an attacking position, and also from a defensive perspective. So we're going to walk through this. I'm going to show you quickly each of their abilities as well, so you can get a quick breakdown of that. And I'm also going to walk you through this tier list maker. So let's start off from a attacking perspective. I'm going to walk through the list here. So Anvil is a great defensive player. However, from an attacking perspective, you need to have the right player playing Anvil. Anvil is actually one of my mains, and I do use him attacking and defensively. You gotta know how to use his C4 properly. You have to know how to use his shield and where to place it. So it really does come down to the player. So with that being said, from an attacking perspective, I'm gonna place Anvil in the B category. Now that doesn't take away from how good he actually is. You just need to have experience with him and actually know how to play with him. And just to clarify, I know I'm going to piss some people off if I place your main lower. I'm sorry. This is a personal opinion, so please don't be butthurt. It definitely does come down to the player. They're all great rogues. It really just comes down to the player and how you utilize them. So with that, let's move on to Scorch. Now, Scorch is a fairly strong attacker. She has her 10-second ability, which basically increases the amount of damage of her bullets and adds on a little fire kick to it. However, it is easy to counter that. You can just stand back for a little longer and wait for her ability to go down. Once that happens, she is kind of useless. But from attacking with her fire, I'm going to place her in the A tier. She is strong, but she can fall off pretty easily. Now, Dallas is again a strong rogue to play. You do need to know how to use him. His reveal is clutch when you're both attacking and defending, to know where the players are. He does have a strong pistol, so it is good in the early rounds. His primary guns are also strong as well. So with Dallas, because he's more of a balanced player, I'm going to stick Dallas in the A tier. He can be used offensively and defensively, but he does fall off in some perspectives, so just keep an eye out for that. Moving on to Phantom. Phantom Sniper is a hell of a gun. They did reduce its damage to 80, I believe it's now, 70. They reduced her damage down to 70. But if you're able to hit that one-shot headshot, like, she is huge. However, up close and personal, she falls off a lot just because she has that sniper. And it's almost impossible to quickscope that quickly with that many players rushing you. Her pistol is good, but again, it is only a pistol. So with that being said, offensively, I'm going to put Phantom in the B category. Moving on to Glitch. Now, Glitch, I'm not a fan of Glitch. I do know people who use him well. I've played against people who have used him really well, and he's not really offensive. I wouldn't say he's really defensive. He's more or less just annoying. None of his abilities wager a kill. Like, you're not going to get down by Glitch because of his ability. The only reason you would is just good gun skill. So with that, I'm going to actually place Glitch in the C tier. He's not that strong of a champion. However, if you do get the right person using him, he can be used well. But again, he's more annoying than anything. Moving on to Dahlia. So Dahlia was released in this newest update, and if you've played with her, you know how good she is. She can mimic anyone's ability, anyone's passive ability. So that is huge. If you're linking her with a Lancer, she can get her rolling reload. If you link her to Saint, you get Saint's ability. Just things like that are what elevates her. Now, if you look at her guns, her primary assault rifle is Trench's assault rifle, and that is a 3 to 4 one-shot headshot, or sorry, 3 to 4 headshot kill. It does a lot of damage, but then if you look at her submachine gun, I've used it in the shooting range, that gun does not fall off one bit. It is the fastest gun in the game, it is one of the strongest guns in the game, and it has the least amount of kick. Especially at range, it still stays steady. So she is the top of our list in the S tier. Moving on to Dima. Dima is a great offensive player. You can bank his grenade shots off of walls, and you can put them at their feet and it clusters them. He's really good offensively, especially he also has his grenades as well. So you can continuously just grenade, and that's why I'm going to be placing Dima in the S tier offensively. He is probably one of the best offensive players in the game. Moving on to Chak. Chak's ability allows him to regen. It also allows him to revive himself after getting downed. He is a strong player to use. However, besides that, there's nothing adds to his offensive ability. He gives himself an extra 25 shield, I believe, but there's lots of perks where you can add shield onto yourself as well. It's simply just an extra bullet you need to kill him. So offensively, I'm going to put Chak in the B tier. He is good, but he's not great. Moving on to Talon. Talon is not very offensive. He has his radar dart, which helps him defensively. He has your standard SMG. Besides that, Talon isn't that strong offensively, so I'm going to put him again in the C tier. He is better defensively, so he will be higher when I go through the defensive list. Moving on to Saint. I've been playing Saint a lot recently. You can use him offensively with his smokes. You can smoke out the bomb site and go and plant, which I like to do. But his primary assault rifle, the zoom in, I know a lot of people aren't a fan of. It is good at range, but as soon as you come up close, I feel like it's too sensitive and you just start spraying. His 3 burst gun is a lot better, but offensively, I'm going to place Saint in the C tier as well. He's good with his revives, which helps offense, but again, I'm going to place him in this C tier. Now, when we're looking at Vi, Vi has her poison splatter, which actually does do a lot of damage if you place it on them. It's also good for holding zones and holding lanes. So Vi is very good offensively as well. She has her tear gas, which does do quite a bit of damage. So I'm going to put Vi up in the A tier. Moving on to Trench. It is arguably reasonable to say Trench is one of the worst rogues in the game. He does have a strong single shot weapon, but besides that, his barbed wire doesn't really do anything. He would be a lot better if the barbed wire actually did some damage to the enemies, or at least made a lot more sound to trigger awareness. So with that, offensively, I would say Trench is probably a D tier. If we're looking at defensive, I don't see him changing that much either, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Moving on to Lancer. Lancer is again a strong offensive player. She can use her ability in silent and flank, which is great for that flank position, pulling up behind the enemies and picking them off without them realizing. Her rolling reload is huge in gunfights, especially when you have a slow reload time. So with that, I'm going to put Lancer up in the A tier offensively. Finally, moving on to Ronin. Ronin is the OG character. She's the one that everyone wants to start off as when they first download the game. Her explosive dart is really good to hold positions, hold doorways, hold flank lanes. It is also really effective if you dart someone directly at their feet. You can get 2 to 3 kills if they're clustered together. She has her fully auto pistol, which is huge in the early rounds, and her SMG is very strong as well. So I'm going to put Ronin up in the A tier. So that is what your tier list looks when attacking. Alright, let's look from a defensive perspective. Starting off with Anvil. Anvil is probably the OG defensive character. He does have his trophy system, which can null some throwables. He's got his C4, which you can throw over his shield. You can also throw it around corners and get some damage. From defensive, his shield is huge for holding cover. It takes and absorbs a lot of damage. But also, the ability to break the shield at a moment's notice and start firing is huge. So from defensive, Anvil is going in the S tier. He is probably the best defensive player. Moving on to Scorch. Scorch doesn't add anything defensively. She can hold the flank, she can hold a position, but again, once her abilities kind of kaput, she doesn't really add anything to the team. So I'm going to put Scorch in the C tier. Dallas is a good defensive player because he has his reveal. You can allow to see where the enemies are pushing from. You can realize if anyone is flanking. He is strong defensively, so I'm going to put him up in the A tier. Now, Phantom is not very good defensively. She can stay back and hold a zone. If she has a line of sight, she can watch bomb. But besides that, she doesn't add anything to the defense. She can be pushed very easily. So I'm going to put Phantom again down in the C tier. Moving on to Glitch. Glitch is not a very strong defensive character. I mean, he can hack abilities. He can hack darts or radars, which does help. But he doesn't add anything to the defensive position. So with that being said, I'm actually going to put Glitch down in the D tier. I don't feel like he's very strong. He kind of is more or less just annoying again, so we're just going to stick down in the D tier. Moving on to Dahlia. Dahlia is strong offensively. She can be used strong defensively as well. Her Mimic ability, if paired with the right rogue, can be a huge benefit to the defense, especially if you're linking with Saint. You can get those revives off faster, and it is a very strong. If you link her up with Dallas, she can then regen her ability if she gets downs, which is, again, strong for that defensive position. So, if linked with the right person, Dahlia can be a strong S tier defensive rogue. Moving on to Dima. Dima falls off defensively. He can use his ability to sort of hold back the offensive push, but besides that, he is a very strong attacker. He is not a strong defender. With that said, he kind of falls in that middle threshold, and I would say Dima falls in the B category. He can definitely hold a flank if he needs to, but nothing adds to really the defensive position. Moving on to Chak. Again, Chak's ability allows him to regen, which is a strong thing when you're watching a bomb site. If you're holding a flank, if you're holding a lane, you have that extra boost to help out. He also has the regen, which allows him to revive himself, which is good offensively. It allows you to stay in the game. So again, I'm going to put Chak in the B tier because of that. Now, Talon is a strong defensive character. He has his radar, which helps reveal where the enemies are located within a proximity. However, I find a lot of people in the early game don't tend to look at their mini-maps too much, so I'm not going to hold it down to that. If he was able to be buffed a little bit, I feel like he'd go higher, but the fact that no one really uses the minimap too much and it's only a small location, he's going to stand in the A tier. Now, Saint with his revives is huge, especially if you link it with the faster revive perk. With that, he does have his smokes, he does have his claymores, which help hold down a flank lane. So with that, Saint's going to be going in the S tier. Getting down to our final few rogues. Vi, again, is good defensively. She can use her ability to hold down a lane or block an entrance. She can also throw it on top of them, which helps for a push back. However, she doesn't add a whole lot, again, to the defensive position. Her attacking more or less helps out her defensively, so she's going to fall in the B tier. Trench, again, Trench is probably going to fall in the C tier. His barbed wire does help hold a lane. It can slow enemies down, which does help defensively, but it's nothing overpowering. It doesn't really add a whole lot to the team. It more or less just delays the enemy by maybe 2 seconds trying to run through a barbed wire. So with that, he's going to fall in the C tier. Moving on to Lancer. Again, Lancer doesn't help out defensively. I mean, you can use her ability to flank them attacking, but on the defensive side, you more or less want to hold the bomb. You don't really want to push. You can push, but it's not ideal. So with that, Lancer defensively is going to fall in the D tier. And then finally, moving on to Ronin. Again, she has her fully auto pistol, which helps out a lot in the early rounds to hold a spot. She does have an at-range assault rifle, which is good for those long-range engagements. Her dart can be used to hold doorways, hold flanks, hold different lanes, which is a benefit to the team. I'd say it is a strong thing to have a Ronin on a defensive side. So she's going to fall again in the A tier. Now, I hope you guys did enjoy. I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings with this ranking. Again, it's just my personal opinion. If you see your rogue at a lower spot, unless you're really good with that rogue, this is more or less where I think they should fall. Again, the player does change the rogue, but a lot of these rogues do have their limits. So if you like and enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe down below. We really do love the support. If you want to leave your rogue in the comments below, let's see who plays which rogue the most, what you like about each rogue, and I'd love to see your feedback. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on the next one.